All right, folks, welcome back to a conversation about Magic the Googling. And today, we're going to talk about a little bit of old Magic here that was purchased 6 months ago, 9 months ago. This video is being filmed in January of 2024. These are some transactions from Q4 2023, and I think this was the summer of 2023. You guys recognize, remember in the other video I was undoing these wraps, this particular collection where the guy did complete set collecting and had them all wrapped up in a particular saran wrap for shipment and everything, and I've been still going through them and undoing everything. And I thought this was a good time because it's been quite interesting, and I wanted to address and go over a few things in the Magic market and what we're seeing, and finally, what appears to be a positive new Magic cycle. So first, let's talk about this. Rudy? Thanks, Rudy. This man ever makes a video? Tell them don't sell your ABU for horsies unless you have to, and they have no choice, Mike. All right, Mike. So, yeah, you know it's filmed in January. Rudy's still coughing. We have Bazaar Baghdad, 9.5. There's subgrades. Nobody cares. It's a 9.5, whatever. It's got a gold piece of paper from Beckett. You guys know where I feel about Arabian Nights, even in 2024. So let's get down to the nasty truth of it. We are still seeing almost zero strength in most Four Horsemen cards and Four Horsemen sets. They're not tanking, but we're not seeing any major money flowing into reserve lists in a lot of these older cards. Right? The only reserve list that's starting to see activity right now, believe it or not, are, well, Urzas and Lion's Eye Diamonds and Sliver Queens and Mox Diamonds and, Cradles. And in other words, more of the, playable EDH kind of commander, kitchen table, kind of reach around kind of cards. These kind of really high-end, I don't want to say like, vintage old school stuff, but more of the very, very high-end is still not really attracting a lot of money right now for whatever the reason may be. So we got here's another void, good old Legends over here. And last but not least, we got a band sensitive card we'll talk about in a minute. But on the Legends card, this is another example here. Another great, I love how it's completely diagonal in the Beckett case. Can you just... Can we move that? Oh, crap. Now the card's all the way at the top. Can we... Whatever. Okay. Again, same thing. 4 Black Horsemen of Legends. Another Void. Abyss. Chains. All Hallows. We're not seeing any major upticks in Rudy's fave of the old 4 horsies there and those particular things. Our 4 Black Horsemen are still not doing anything. Good news, they're not dropping. Bad news, we're not seeing any real major upticks or demand. Now, I always got to address this. When we talk about the band sensitive, the 2020, when we talk about any of that stuff, please remember, everybody, from day one, everybody's like, Rudy, we got to invest in these band cards. These are sensitive. It's like super mega ultra reserve list. Just friendly reminder, never ever make long-term investment decisions based on short-term cultural swings. In 2020, the world just got inverted and just literally just everything just became tumbleweeds and disaster mode. Human beings lost their mind. People were told to stay at home. The government ramped up money printing and shot out check. It was a very distorted, non-common sense era of Magic cards. And because of that, I was very clear, even though this is a very iconic card and one of, the big dogs and Legends that Rudy likes in these particular sets. There's about 10 Legends cards I'm a huge fan of. Obviously, this is one of the 10. Of course, you got your 4 Black Horsies, you got your Tabby, and there's a good other ones. The Mirror Universes. There's still some other really cool things, but again, don't make decisions based on those kind of cultural spikes. We've talked about in the past, that stands very firm to today. If you're trying to collect a complete set of Legends, definitely get yourself a copy. If you want to build some weird blue deck around there, that's fine. Same thing with Nether Void. But again, we are not seeing big money move to old Magic. The market remains very jittery, skittish when it comes to that post-Magic 30 and the 2-year bear market. Now, before we jump through our Legends set there, we'll get our happy little guys out of the way. Thanks again, Mike, if you're watching this video. It's been so long. I want before we jump into this, I'm going to de-sleeve all these because I'm going for 100 sets of the dark, and we're getting there. Now, I've been more excited and more active on actually new Magic recently. I haven't been doing as many videos on old Magic, and I'm sure you all have probably already noticed this, right? It's one of the things where I see more opportunity, and I know this is kind of backwards to what may seem common sense or anything, but I feel like we have more activity and more opportunity in all the new Magic. And it's not because Chris Cox and the print run sizes, and it's because of the damage in the extreme nature of the market itself. It is just so destroyed and fractured in the print runs and the crash. It's just I feel that the opportunity in the new sealed, again, not singles, in the new sealed product is far greater for a percentage swing than it is on the old, truly rare items right now. Now, it's not going to stay this way forever, okay? I also want to kind of also say that for you all. I think what we're going to see right now, these cards, bog imps and rats, this always crack me up. What I think we see right now is temporary. I don't think, how do I say this? I just don't think it's going to stay that way forever. Right now, because so much negativity and everybody collapsed and dumped everything that they own from, well, you know, new stuff, it's really created a once in a lifetime. Well, should I say once in a lifetime? I'll say once in a lifetime. It created a once in a lifetime opportunity. And like I said, we are seeing a massive shift in demand and pricing right now in the last 60 days in new Magic. And I think a lot of the reason we're seeing that shift is because money is starting to flow back to new Magic. New Magic appears to be, should I say, more hyped? There seems to be more chatter around new Magic than old Magic, and that's very unusual. Usually the big money always prefers old Magic. Usually the whales, the long-term people, it's all about old Magic, right? Alpha investments, all about old stuff. New stuff, you just dump to Timmy's, right? That doesn't seem to be the case right now. Like, if you've noticed on this channel, there's been very limited discussions on old stuff and collection buying and everything recently, right? You guys just haven't seen a lot on this channel because there's not really much excitement in market swings. There's not a lot to really report and share and discuss with you all. It's just not happening. There's not a lot of excitement. There's just not a lot of things for us to really report on. And, you know, most people are, well, I know it's kind of not fitting the narrative, but the hype and excitement is around these new releases. And, you know, we have Murders of Karlov and I think let's start with Ravnica. You know, it was such a wild experience to see Ravnica with record low pre-orders. Nobody wanted it. I've never seen that much negativity towards a release. I think that was more, I think the Ravnica collectors, Ravnica Remastered, had more negative, it's going to zero, than I think even Commander Masters, Boulder's Gates, anything. It was the most I'd ever seen. I have never seen that level of just straight up, it's trash. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, what happens? And I remember making a video on this with you all. And I remember people say, oh, here's Rudy, gotta move his heavy bags. You get all the morons who have no education and don't have the ability to think past today, and they're just so short-sighted, they have no depth to really having deep conversations. And then suddenly, you know, well, the internet was wrong, and the market's been, it's been a really fascinating market. So, where does that leave us? Coming up, we have Murders of Karlov Manor. We haven't really talked about it much on this channel. We'll get to that this week coming up here, because we just got done doing the Flesh and Blood stuff and everything. The Flesh and Blood sale went okay. The sales were definitely slower. I'll report more in details in the next bookcase video discussion of what's going on. But the sales, the sell-through rate was definitely lower than previous Flesh and Blood. Still sold just fine. Can't really complain, but we'll go into details on that when we have a little update of the schedule here. But it was interesting that, well, a lot of people were waiting for, like, the next Magic set. Like, Rudy, come on, you know, when we're doing Murders at Karlov, you know, Rudy, I'm hearing about this Fallout, the new Fallout, the Universe is Beyond. Lurker, this card, dude, such a creepy card, man. It's so weird. I'm telling you all, it's such a weird thing how fast these markets can turn and move on everything. Because, you know, when you think you understand the direction or the momentum, and then the whole thing turns on you, and you're like, wait, how did this turn? What happened? Why did it happen? I mean, I think some of the biggest surprises and shifts I've seen in modern Magic history has to be probably Lord of the Rings Special. What an amazing, bizarre shift of events. Yeah. I think Ravnica Collectors is going to probably hold the king for a long time and hold the crown as the most misjudged, or the biggest thing that the market got wrong in modern times. I don't think we're going to top that. I just don't think it was such an extreme case. I just don't think there's any way to get around that. And I don't think we really see that again for a long time. Many times the market gets things right and you can see the writing on the wall, but this was such a bizarre experience. So the question is, if we continue to follow through, do we eventually see a market resurgence of investors and high-end collectors into old Magic? Are we going to be able to have enough momentum in new Magic and people... Look at that. That was a good timing there to pull the old preacher around. Are we eventually going to have enough new excitement and new people joining Magic, buying new Magic, that they're going to start kind of swapping over to Vintage? Will that kind of, the new player plays Magic, enjoys it, has one little standard deck, starts kind of evolving, plays with his buddy, little commander, shifts again, eventually becomes, the big league, Is that possible? Is that in the future direction of things? And I don't know. I just don't, I have no idea. Because everyone's worried that there's going to be some news event that's going to push the market and then reset us back into a bear market trashy thing. And in my opinion, I've been very outspoken and everyone's been very confused on my positivity shift in the last 60 days. And it's just based on the data. When the data looks great, I report the data looks great. And you see positive Rudy who becomes excited that, hey, things aren't going to be terrible. We're not all going to get wiped out. Stores aren't going to go bankrupt everywhere. It's positive. The more positive things are, the more everybody wins. And that's what we really want to see. We want to see the net positive because everybody comes out ahead. And I don't understand why, and I'll say it, the Game Piece Army. I don't understand why the Game Piece Army is so against that kind of thing. Where, every Magic card is a game piece. And it must, Tangle Kelp, that kind of is a game piece. And they shouldn't have any financial value. There should be no secondary market of cards going up. It's a very flippin' weird thing. And again, it's all part of the new side effects of modern culture in the era we're in. Great infamous card, man. Look at that old piece, man. Look at that old tracker. These are all side effects of modern culture. And just as this era kind of came in with the attitude and the culture of everything, it will shift again. We just don't know if it's going to be in a month, it's going to be 6 months, it's going to be a year, it's going to be 6 years. We don't know when. But again, the culture of game piece and free things and things need to have no value. And when I get my paycheck, I need to spend it on cards that are worthless, right? I can't have money that grows and goes up. That's terrible. Because if that's me, it'll affect other people. There's our set of the dark, by the way. So I don't think that's sustainable. Okay. So, and not only do I not think it's sustainable, I think the evolution into the next, whatever the hot topic or the next anger thing is going to be, I think it'll come out of nowhere. And I think it's going to happen when people least expect it. Okay. So let's pause the new conversation real quick. Let's take a look at this set of the dark. So we got ourselves a light played set of the dark. Definitely not gradable, high end. And we got a nice light little plate set of the dark. That artwork, man, always gets me. In the 2021 boom, we had a lot of speculation, ball lightning, of a set like this. The original Blood Moon, man. Isn't that crazy? And this time, like I said, for those of you who want these cards and to be a part of this history and own things like that, that's one of my favorite. I love the library thing. Just understand this is a phenomenal time to build positions and things, which is what I've been doing through the whole crash. Cleansing. Wait, is this one of the banned? I think Cleansing might be one of the banned 2020 We're All Sensitive cards. I'm not sure if that's one. It might be. Someone comment below. But keep in mind, if you are looking to expand and have your positions in original, this is the 94. You guys can see at the bottom there. Magic Eater of the Dead, another very, very powerful, infamous card in the old correct deck with graveyards there because there's no. Look at that. Take a creature card from any graveyard, remove it, and you untap it. It doesn't even, but there's no cost to activate it. That's what's really cool about it. especially if you play a little enchant creature and add abilities to this guy. You can do some really fun shenanigans. The old L's from the old Jesper over there, infamous chick there. So this is one of those things where just remember, if you've always wanted stuff like this, in the last 2 years, why haven't you bought it? Why haven't you made moves? Are you nervous? You're waiting for it to go lower, right? It's got to go lower before I move in. Ooh, Fire and Brimstone, great card. But again, if you're buying this, should we talk about Frankenstein's monster? If you're buying these cards, you should not be buying them for a flip. You shouldn't be buying them expecting to make quick tendies. These cards, unlike, ooh, there it is, the big dog, most expensive card in the set there. But these cards, there's just not much demand and excitement around it. Old Magic is very fractured, a lot of pessimism. It's very flat. It will change one day. Oop, there's our lurker again. But Mana Vortex, great reserve list card. But it's going to be a long time, okay? Let's stop there for a second. So let me just give you guys a couple more minutes of speech. I don't want to make an hour-long ramble video here, but let me just go over a few facts here. So this is the time you should be, if you've been wanting these cards, and you were one of the idiots on the internet that did nothing but just complained about the wife's boyfriend, complained about how expensive everything is, complained how unobtainable everything is, you were one of the people that spent your days as a keyboard warrior so that when you're older and you look back, you realize you just wasted your life on things that no one's going to give a shit about. If you are awakening from being that stupid and you realize, you know, these cards are desirable for a reason, and I think it'd be cool to have a piece of that history. If that is your path to the future and that's what you're interested in, in the last 12 to 24 months, you should have been accumulating and buying things as you saw them come available. At the same time, you should not be buying these things in no way, shape, or form. Should you be buying fucking full sets of the Dark and 4 Horsemen cards, expecting to 10x your money and beat the S&P 500 and all this dumb shit and place your 401k. Now, why people take context down and try to spin things as aggressive as they can against whoever they're pointing their fingers at, I have no idea. Now, if you're already living a normal life, you're working hard, taking care of your family or little ones, and you go to work every day, and these are things that you enjoy, it reminds you of a different time, they're special cards, and it's very, you know, there is value to you, and you believe in the future, and they're not going to go to zero with game pieces, then yes, this is something that I think collectability of all CCGs and collectibles is a great piece to diversify your wealth for the future. You know, it was amazing how Maze of Ith was like the most iconic card from the set for the longest time, and the most expensive, and you know, it's just Preachers and Maze is what people think. Nameless Race. I know, is Nameless Race because it's like a white thing? Is this what I think? No, wait, I don't think Nameless Race was. Was this one of the ban sensitive cards? Because they're like evil kung fu warriors or something? Somebody, you guys got a comment below. I can never understand the fucking sensitive ban. I don't know. People of the Wood. That's always a cool watercolor piece of art on that one. And there's the Preacher, the infamous. Believe it or not, this mark, good old Teden, very iconic, that face on that dude. Very iconic reserve list card there. Ragman, one of the big, I know it's not reserve list, but this is a cool special card to me. All right, we got a Mirror, Riptide, we got a Sword, a Safe Haven, of course. And we got Bandits. I don't think there's much. Ooh, we got the Hag. See, cards like that I think are really, really cool. Season of the Witch, phenomenal Jesper card. There you go. We got the Path, big dog there. Slog, Squire. Stones again. I always thought those were it. There we go. There it is, folks. God, the amount of people that lost money buying this for $20 to $50 in the boom. All right, well, let me stop and talk about that. So again, when you had those were short-term people, everybody. Okay? Like, remember, when we had the Stone Calendar buyouts, the Frankenstein's monsters, you know, when we had these people jumping into the market, going on the internet, pulling a list of the reserved cards, and then sorting by cheapest, and trying to build card positions like little mini Rudies, trying to build positions of Frankenstein's ex-wife, and, you know, and a bunch of Stone Calendars, and this was their future of 10xing their money. I think, how do I say it? I feel like things like that are part of a natural cycle of when markets become very hot, euphoric, expanding, and you get the new people jumping in on the bandwagon because it's crossing news headlines. They're making articles about investors in cardboard. You know, it kind of spills to mainstream. And then people who know nothing about Magic jump in and they're like, I'm going to buy these reserve list cards. It don't matter what it is, it's reserve list. The problem is, these are very low tier reserve list. And yes, they could still go up. And I'm not saying Stone Calendar is never going to be worth something. It will be, okay? There's going to be someone who's going to come up with some weird thing at some point in history to use the card. There's going to be always a demand for set collectors. It is a reserve list card. It has got pretty cool artwork, I'm not going to lie. But there's always going to be opportunity with it. But buying it as this big investment strategy, I know it's not the cool thing to say, but I don't think we return to reserve list buyout era. I know so many people want that to come back, but I got really bad news, everybody. I don't think the reserve list buyout era is about to happen. I think there's going to be cards that go up, but this massive attempts to pump up a single card and dump it all back to everybody, I just don't think that ever happens again, at least recently. Again, I can't say forever. I mean, I don't know. It could happen again in 17 years, who knows? But I think a lot of people held on because they didn't expect the bear market to last 2 years. And a lot of people held on, maybe past their 0% for 12 months credit card, hoping the market would turn, recover, maybe some positivity will happen. And they were hoping that, they would be able to ride it back up, or maybe they'll reset their 0% for 12 months on their credit card. They'll roll it to another one to buy it more time. And, like I tell you all, markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And bear markets do that. They will test you and push you to the absolute limit, and then to the point where you think there's no hope. And that's usually some sort of capitulation or some sort of bottoming process. And again, I know this is not something that's pleasant, but on Wall Street and in collecting, investing in different types of merchants and buying and selling and trading, many times you need these flush outs. You need failure. You need people to give up. We need people to leave. Look at the Bob's face on the playmat. You need people to throw in the towel. Okay, I think that's happened. Okay, and now Magic is finally showing signs of life, and it's starting with new Magic. Nobody saw that coming, because let me refresh the memory. We're 22 minutes in. Okay, like I said, hopefully I'm going to release this on the weekend, and I think a week from now should be like pre-release of Murders of Karlov Manor, and then 2 weeks till the main release. Okay, so this is perfect time. Hopefully I'm going to get this out. But I want you all to be aware. Like, when I run my patron sale in a week from now, next Friday, okay, and I launch Murders of Karlov, I'm going to do collector boxes, and I'm going to do the new play boxes. And yes, to trigger and make people angry, I'm going to do play boxes cheaper than everyone's favorite TCG player dumping whatever. I will be under $130 a box. It will be shit, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. But as far as the collector boxes go, that's been the most fascinating thing, because before the last 60 days, nobody believed that collector boxes could even come out and not collapse in value, but actually hold or uptick. That was not even a possibility, because everybody just assumed every single one came out and failed. And now, for the first time in years, the trend has been broken. And the trend is your friend until the end, around the bend. And once it bends and the trend breaks, that's it. And I believe we've hit a point where the trend is broken. I do not believe Murders of Karlov Manor, with its whatever clue additions and hidden whatever and ghost ink and serialized this or whatever, I don't think it's going to collapse. Even if it's a weaker set. But again, it's too soon to tell. We don't know what cards are going to be hot. We don't know how it's going to change the meta and standard and the net deckers. We don't know. We don't know yet. I don't care what anyone thinks. We don't know. The market's going to do that for us. And, I'm going to do my typical thing like I've done with every other thing. I think in the last, 8 years? I've been on Patreon for 7 years. I've probably ran like 600 sales to patrons or something over so many years. Who knows? And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, when we run that, what's going to happen? Are we going to have everyone saying, Rudy, I'm not going to buy again. I'm going to wait for the collapse. So we're going to have a Ravnica Collectors 2.0. And that's what everybody said. And now it's like a run on the product. Rudy, I'm not going to buy Lord of the Rings or Ixalan. I'm going to wait for it to collapse. And I'm going to buy Ixalan later. Because that's garbage. It's all a crash. And it's going to crash and burn. It's going to be hot trash in a dumpster fire. Chris Cox has to overprint. And then one day we wake up and it stops. We get the changes. And now, you know the changes are real because you can see people getting pissed. And for the first time in years, the word scalper is back in the market. Everything's being scalped. Oh my God, did you see the secret lair being scalped? Oh my God, are you seeing the uptick in Lord of the Ring? Are you seeing the Ixalan? 230, 240 plus tax. On TCG Player, was it 260? Oh, they're scalping. You're starting to see the derogative, I hate that word. You're starting to see that kind of, pointy stuff really try to be thrown back. And we haven't heard these things. We haven't seen these things in a while because it just wasn't a thing. So, in conclusion, late in the video here, like I said, I've been focusing not as much on old Magic recently. I've actually been focusing on trying to accumulate as much as I can of newer stuff because I think the old stuff didn't collapse to the level that the new stuff did. Okay. And because the old stuff kind of came off its highs, the Alpha, Beta, Arabian Nights, they dropped 30, 40, 50% from their highs, but they were up 200-300%. And even with the pullback, they're still up a lot. They're still not cheap. Bazaar Baghdad didn't go back down to $500. It never happened, So, it's still pricey. But the new stuff, the Commander Masters, how much it dropped. And, when I saw, even the Baldur's Gate stuff, even the draft box, all the new Magic draft. I love the new Magic draft because it's all obsolete. There's no more Magic draft. We're getting ready to go this new era of play boxes. They're all going to be super expensive. And all these cheap draft boxes are just going to disappear with time as they just shuffle around, get cracked on Friday nights. And, and I really like the idea of all these cheap draft boxes. And then we look at the collector boxes, okay? I think Ravnica is a phenomenal example of what happens when emotions take over. Everybody's like, fuck that. I'm not buying Ravnica Collector, Rudy. Look what happened to Dominaria Remastered. I'm not buying Ravnica Remastered Collectors. That thing, they overprinted so much, they're still dumping it. And that's a fact. Can't disagree with that. But that kind of price memory and that kind of brain connecting those dots is what led one of many variables to this situation of Ravnica. And everyone on the internet saying it's going to collapse, there's no value, it's all trash. You don't have to believe, go online, look at all the videos and discussions. I was the only person saying, hold up, wait a minute, this is not... And of course, I just got ridiculed and heavy bags. Rudy's got a, fake and trick. And, that's the lack of education. That's the people who don't know how to really look at things without emotion. And suddenly, it's like, well, okay, we have this major uptick. No one's ready for it. You in the back, yes. And, this is a good one, yeah. So thanks for reminding me. This is one of those things where it's like everybody said, Alpha Investments and Rudy has made people hoarding all these boxes in their closets all over the country. Nothing's rare anymore. And then we get a 2-year flush out and everybody stops. And suddenly now, it inverts on itself. And now suddenly everybody says the same thing. Oh, you don't want to be like Rudy. Then you get stuck with all this trash that's illiquid. You can't sell it. It goes to zero and you're a Timmy. And that's what Rudy does, right? But now it's like, okay, so now we're finally leaving the bear market. And everybody stopped. This is like a fucking paradise, man. This is, you can't dream for a situation like this. You're painting an example where we went a 2-year flush out of everybody dumping every product at losses and saying, oh God, why would you even buy from Rudy? Every draft box is cheaper, right? You can get boxes for $3. Is that a thing? Let's pretend it's a thing. There's no point. And you get all the little short-term patrons leave and say there's no point. My local corner store is $1 less, and everybody leaves. You get rid of all the dramatic people. We get the new people. And now suddenly, the only moron in Florida with everything stacked up and trying to get as much new inventory as possible. And now suddenly, I would say over 90% of LGSs in the US have almost nothing from the last couple of years. I bet you all anything. Almost every LGS in the United States dumped almost every Magic sealed product from 2020 to 2023. I'm going to tell you right now. And now in 2024, I'll take a step further. This is a good one. I got to do a whiteboard video on this. And I promise you guys, I promise you guys, whiteboard video is coming. I got to get to that location where the whiteboard is. Or I got to move the whiteboard so I can use it more. I was looking at the older sealed product from like 2015 to 2019. Throneville Drains, Wars, Guilds, Allegiance, Dominarias, OG, Ixalons, Rivals, Eldritch, Shadows, BFZ, Oath, all that old stuff. Amon Kitty, Kaladeshi, Aethers. And I was like, everyone's angry and, Rudy, I bought these old stuff and now they're like 5-10 years old. I held for a long time and they were $200 a box and now they're back down to like $110. They've lost like 50%. I'm like, yeah, that's what bear markets do. Then they say, well, God, I guess I'm just going to give up and get rid of it, right? That's what you're supposed to do. And you sit back and you go, hang on a second. Okay. Now, when you say a $300 box goes back down to $200, well, let's say a $200 box goes to $100. Let's make it even, 50% off. And then you say, that's how bad it is. Now, if I go online and I pick whatever box that you're saying went from 200 to 100, and I say, okay, I got 10 grand. I want to buy 100 boxes, right? Could I even buy 100 boxes? How many boxes could I actually buy at half price? And the answer most of the time is going to be probably under 30 or maybe 36, maybe 40 boxes if you're lucky. Usually the answer is between 12 and 20 boxes. And you get these, how do I say it? You get these drama-infused, uneducated, awful people that use that as leverage to bash the product or bash Wizards or bash me or bash stores or bash. They want to lean into that in a way that makes it sound like the world has ended. And I'm going to cut the video off here, but it's going to be an interesting thing because time has a funny way of taking care of this kind of thing. Because as we move forward in pricing shifts and markets reprice things, those voices who live their lives trying to tear down LGSs or tear down a product or make fun of the set of cards or make fun of an influencer or a streamer or something or a store, right when the data shifts and it doesn't shift in a way that they can attack, it's like you flick an off switch and they'll never talk about it again. And that happened quite a bit in the past with old Magic. It happened quite a bit with the original Zendikars. It happened quite a bit in the Kaladesh Aether era. It happened quite a bit in the Master, Modern Masters 2015, 17, Eternal Masters. A big thing I remember years ago is I remember people making fun of me, telling you all about Eternal Masters and Khans of Tarkir, all the old stuff from, like 7, 8, 9 years ago. Oh my God. And as we move forward in time and, these items go up in value, there's nothing, you can't really say anything about it anymore because you can't say Khans of Tarkir was a waste of time. Well, Rudy, oh God, even if you held it, the return was terrible. I mean, I'm sorry that in 10 years you only doubled your money and, yes, the S&P 500 outperformed and that no one's disagreeing with that, but if you're just using that as leverage, saying everything is awful in this world, then honestly, there's just somebody needs to give you a hug or you need to go outside and, yell at the cars or something. I mean, there is just a lot more to this stuff. So my point of this whole speech, everybody, and here we are to a long video again, I'm supposed to cut off at 20 minutes today, is that this is probably, if I'm right, which sometimes I get something right, most of the time I just make everything up. I spin a wheel when you guys aren't looking. If this market goes the way I think it's going to go in 2024, it's going to be really interesting to see how long it takes for the anger online to accept that we are now in the post-game piece era, in the post-overprinting era. Because I feel we're already out of it. Yeah, I fucking said it. I think the print run reductions, the secret layer changes, the collectors, the remastered, everything. I think everything's already changed. It's done. It's been in place for a couple months. We're finally starting to see it flow through the system, and the data is starting to reveal itself. And I believe you ain't seen nothing yet, everybody. I think going from murders to fallout, I can't go into that now. I think you're gonna see some crazy shit, man. And I don't think people are gonna want to accept it until we probably hit at least another 6 months from now. It's like the stock market. People don't understand how Main Street and the economy can be weak or volatile or mixed data, and the stock market can be all-time high. Because you have that discrepancy between the stock market making predictions for 6 to 9 months from now versus the market today, which may be not as good. And eventually, the market's going to be right, or the market's going to readjust or reprice higher or lower. And we don't know who's right or wrong until the future comes. And to me right now, I could not ask for a better Magic and Pokemon market, the big two. I mean, if I could hand make a painting, I'll do some videos on paintings. Everybody keeps asking me to discuss some oil paintings and my stuff, and we'll do that, folks. But if I could pick any scenario, I would honestly say I'd like a world where the print runs, everything collapses and becomes super cheap. You can move in, swoop it all up, and then the company starts to fix everything, and everybody else is going the other direction screaming it's over with. And you could just annihilate and take everything over and build like an empire. And that's what I think is happening. I think it's happening with Pokemon Scarlet Violet. I think it's happening with all the new Magic stuff. And I think it's going to take at least 6 more months of upticks until the Timmy game piece dumbasses start to realize, hey, this is just the new era we're in. I think it's going to take a while. I think it's coming, but I think we're going to need multiple releases through 2024 to really pound them in the face like Chuck Norris, for them to realize that, holy shit, I have to work the Wendy's drive-thru, and I'm going to be behind the dumpster on Wednesdays. Like, we're going to need so much of an impact and constant success for people to break that negative trend mindset. But I think it's coming. And I don't think people will want to hear that. And I believe this is going to go down in history. Just like buying them, if you were dollar cost averaging the S&P 500 the last 2 years, you're fucking looking like a genius right now, right? Which all of you should have been doing, or at least a 401k or max out. Come on, man, you all should have been doing that. And it's one of those things where we will look back and we will shake our heads going, do you all remember when Ravnica Remastered Collectors came out, nobody wanted it? And then Wizards said, well, fuck, nobody wants it. We'll just cut the print run in half. Do you all remember when Baldur's Gate collector boxes were $100? You remember when Commander Masters collector boxes, Rudy dumped them on his patrons for like 170s and 180s, and they went all the way down to like 160s? Wait, did they even drop? Okay, well, they went down to $20. Come on, don't ruin the narrative. I think people are going to look back, and it's going to become a really funny thing. And it's definitely going to be fun to go back on old social media posts and comments from the last 2 years and use those as kind of things to reflect upon. I think that'll separate the difference between the people who continue to not make it in this world, continue to be game piece warriors, continue to never get ahead in life, always have financial problems, they don't have the discipline, and they're led by emotion, swiping at hot chicks on Tinders and Twitters and all those little things, versus the people that spend their time learning, researching, and moving forward. Holy shit, it's a 40-minute video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be aware, like I said, in the coming week here. Yes, I was able to get some Force of Will boxes. Holy crap, from this throwback Force of Will set that's impossible to get. I don't know if anyone cares. So I finally got that. I'm going to run a sale on that. Holy smokes, I got like 100 boxes. Woo, 100 boxes. Can't get that shit. But yeah, so next week, Murders of Karlov. Rudy's going to piss everyone off with the cheapest price ever on play booster boxes, way below the 130, 140, and which means, if I say way below 130, it's going to be 129.99 and a half a penny, and I'm going to make you round up just so I can manipulate your face. But no, we're going to do that at the collectors, and after that, we're going to be going into some special sales for everybody and for the patrons, and we're going to be doing a special loyalty sale, which is a sale that the patrons, depending how long you're a patron. If you're a 2023 patron, you get a price. If you're a 2022 patron, you get a lower price. If you're a 2021 patron, you get a lower. So the longer you've supported and held on to the bear market, the pricing gets lower for you. So we're going to do that for Magic. I would like to do that with Magic, like Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, Weiss, MetaZoo. I'd like to do that one of like every brand, so that anyone who's a fan of any of those brands, we can do something that you can be interested in. That's kind of my strategy this time around I'm trying to put together. So fingers crossed that goes okay. I'm sure it'll come off of, I don't know, some scam or something. 40 minutes. You all have a great day.